Talks, WIMG 1300 and WPHY Channel 25 are proud to present In the Public Interest. Each week, we explore a new topic of interest for you, the public. We now join our host live from the WIMG studios.
Hello friends, and welcome to In the Public Interest on Trenton Talks, heard live on WIMG 1300 on the AM dial, streaming on the internet, WIMG1300.com. I am your host, Jacque Howard. Before we get into the program, I have two friends from the Sage Coalition who we're going to be speaking to about art in the local community of the Trenton region. But I just want to take a moment to share kudos to a friend, a really good friend, a community organizer, Dion Clark, who recently passed away. Dion was a gentleman who loved Trenton. He held people elected in office accountable for what they're supposed to do. He had a wonderful reputation as someone who really wanted to see Trenton become a better place. So Dion, our thoughts and prayers are with you. We miss you already, but we can still remember seeing you at the city council meetings, holding all the elected officials' feet to the fire and bringing awareness about things that were taking place in the city, such as the problems with the parks and how things could be better. And with that being said, I'd like to introduce my two guests tonight from the Sage Coalition, Kasso and Carl Washington. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you. So the two gentlemen that I have in the studio with me are artists, and they're very soft-spoken, well-heeled in the fine arts. So, Will, why don't you start first? And I want you to introduce yourself to the listening and viewing audience, and then, Carl, you can take over.
Will Kasso, muralist, all-around good guy.
Carl?
Hey, it's Carl Washington. I'm a photographer, videographer.
So I brought you guys into the studio for a couple of things. First of all, over at Sage Coalition, and the website is sagecoalition.nj.com. At that website, people can find out everything that you guys are doing, and that includes... Go into it, Will.
Oh, man, we do a little bit of everything. We do monthly art shows. Every second Friday of the month, we host a new exhibition, either group show or solo artist shows. We're doing frequent tours of the block. So it's more or less, the tours are kind of informal. If you want to take like a tour of Hanover Street or the gallery space, just email us, sagecoalition.nj.com, where we can set a time up. The gallery is right now open during lunch hours, right? And we're also planning our next event, which is Storm the Gates. This is an event where we're going to paint the metal roll-down gates in downtown Trenton. We're still putting it together. We should have all the details by the end of this week, as far as, budget, people involved, the whole nine. And it's going to basically be a continuation of Windows of Soul, which is a project we did last year on Hanover Street, where we put artwork on all the abandoned buildings. So now we're moving more into the commercial zone. With the same concept in mind, you bring art, people will come. And we all know how much downtown Trenton is suffering. So again, bring the art, see people will come. And the one thing that we try to constantly remind people is that if you want to be a force in this town or anywhere that's in the kind of shape that Trenton is, you have to be organized, and also you have to focus primarily, first and foremost, on the arts, because the arts is what open everything else up.
Mm-hmm.
You bring in art, that brings tourism. Tourism brings money. Money brings jobs. So it all starts with the art.
Okay. And Carl, you guys have a community garden over at the 219?
The Gandhi
area?
Garden, yep. That's a project we started this past September, and it's still an ongoing thing. We have weekly meetups there called Chilling with Gandhi, Monday nights from 5 to 9. Graham Apgar is the designer of the garden. He's also part of Sage Coalition. Derek McGeady, he maintains the garden. He's also part of Sage. It's a community garden, so it's open to everyone. It has, for some reason, it has the perception that it's like a private thing. No, it's just always been a public garden. We just ask anyone that uses it, take care of it. That's it, because 99% of that work that's done in there is volunteer.
Mm-hmm. So the location is exactly what address?
It's 223 East Hanover. It's the next lot over from 219. Yeah.
And when people come to the Gandhi Garden, what can they expect? What are some of the things that they'll see?
They see art, for one. There's the mural outside of the garden, which I painted last year. There's also art within the garden. some art installations from local artists. There's a community stage there, so we're looking to get into doing more programs out there as far as like I know Passage Theater recently did a project this past June in the garden. They did a play, so we're looking to do more things like that in there. Just have it used as an artist communal space. Yeah.
Now, why did you choose the name Gandhi for the garden?
Well, that was more of a group effort. I can't take credit for the name of the garden. The name came from the mural that I produced there. Like, what a lot of people don't know is the space where the Gandhi mural is currently. There were 2 other Gandhi murals there previously. The first one I did back in 2008, and in 2011 it got vandalized. Someone threw white paint all over it. And then me and a friend of mine by the name of Love One, who also has a show up currently at the gallery, we went out and redid it. So that was in the summer of 2011. So when Sage moved to Hanover Street in full this past June, that's where the concept of the garden came up, and that's when everyone's like, well, we just call it the Gandhi Garden, just named after the mural that that is the backdrop to it. And then that gave me the inspiration when I realized, like, wow, this is really happening, to redo the mural, to make it just as glorious as we've seen the garden in our minds, because the second one was rushed. It was done in a few hours because it was mainly a patch-up job, and in the grand scheme of things, it had to be done in that shorter time. So I spent months on the last one just so it could be to the vision that I originally had for it. So
you said a mouthful during that. So let's get Carl involved in this as well.
Okay.
Can you talk about Sage Coalition in general? What is the idea behind it? I mean, when you think of coalition, you think about lots of different people coming together or whatever. But what is the vision of Sage?
Well, I'm actually like one of the newer members of Sage. I met Sage about a year ago. I was living on East Hanover Street, and they were transitioning from the Artilia, and a guy by the name of Derek McEady, who maintains and cultivates the Gandhi Garden, he was the one who told me that I should meet with these guys because I was also into art myself. I do more digital art. So we met and became friends, and through time I showed them that I had some nice work, and Kasso, he allowed me to be in the show, and from there, we just kind of connected and bonded, and I was introduced to everybody else, like Collar, who's into the digital music, and Graham, who's into graphics and website design. Also, you have Will Kinsley, who is a welder and 3D art designer. We just all kind of clicked, and my understanding of what Sage is just pretty much to empower people, to let them know that they can do things on their own and don't necessarily need assistance. It's all through education, and and the helping and caring others. It's just all about helping one another and building it to make a better future for us and our families and friends.
So when we think about Sage in general, I mean, we always, again, the Sage Coalition, people coming together, it's cohesiveness, lots of different elements,
Right.
all with the same purpose. The
Right.
same purpose of, hey, we're all in this together, we're a community. Will, you had said that one time in one of our conversations that there's a tagline, reach the hood.
Reach the world.
Reach
the world, but touch the hood first.
And what was the reason for that?
Oh, the origin of that quote, we got to take it back like almost 10 years. Like, I used to watch Def Poetry Jam a lot, and every time it came on, I used to watch it, listen to it, and I would draw. It was inspiration. So I remember Mos Def came up. It was like towards the end of the show, and he did a verse, and at the end of it, he said, "Reach the world, touch the hood first." And I'm like, and it just clicked, and I wrote it down. I was like, wow, that's a dope line, And at the time, Sage wasn't even like in my mindset, it's like I didn't really, all what you see going on now was still kind of in its developmental stages. So I was doing t-shirts at the time. I used to hand paint airbrush t-shirts, and at the end of each t-shirt I would put that quote on there, reach the world, touch the hood first. I would put it on every shirt I would make till it got around. It was like, oh, you're the guy who put reach the world, touch the hood first on the t-shirts, because then that's how Sage started, with Sage Collection. I did it as a t-shirt line, and then it turned into the collective, which was me and 4 other graffiti artists. And that's when we went around painting murals around the city. It kicked off with the Gandhi mural. Then I just pulled other people in, and we went around doing the same thing. then the collective turned it to the coalition, and you see what it is now.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So when we, and I'm always amazed about how much public art is out.
Yeah.
And everyone thinks when you say art, like the simple things, visual arts, like not really even performing arts all the time, but digital art as well, like what you're doing, Carl. So can you tell the listening and viewing audience a little bit about your digital art, your photography, and what your aesthetic is like?
Well, I do digital photography and also do videography and a little bit of short film, and basically I just try to capture the raw essence of everything that's around me, and it's not more commercial. It's not that commercial. I'm not really doing it for profit, but it's more of the art and to capture like emotion and feeling a certain subjects, or to make people think a certain way when they look at my work. So.
Excellent. And if anyone wants to see any of the work that you guys are doing, how can they find out about what Sage Coalition is doing?
Just hit the website, sagecoalitionnj.com. The website has a detailed history of all the projects we've done in the past up till now, until what's coming. Yeah.
All right, great, thanks. Yeah. Folks, you're listening to In the Public Interest on WIMG 1300, also streaming on the internet, WIMG1300.com, and you can find us on Facebook and Twitter. Also suggest that you like us there and follow us, WIMG 1300. I'm speaking with Sage Coalition's two of the several members from Sage Coalition, Will Kasso and Carl Washington. Carl is a digital artist. He does some videography. He also does some short films. And Will Kasso has touched in lots of different things with the fine art. Will, approximately how many murals have you worked on in the Trenton region?
In Trenton, I say there's over 20 murals. Some are still up, some are not with us anymore. But as far as walls as a whole, like I stopped counting at 500. Like it was at one point, I was doing with my crew. Like that's the one thing everything I do is not solo. Sometimes I work with a group, and at my peak I was doing 50 walls a year. So, and I've been doing it for a while now, probably about good 8 years running. So. But I don't paint that much anymore as far as murals, because I'm doing a lot of different things now. I have an art gallery. I do a lot of community work, so my talents are being spread out. I'm just branching out, really, just kind of like I'm at the point in my life now where it's like, if it's something I said I wanted to do 10 years ago and just didn't have the time, I make the time for it now because I have the experience, So I want to produce a comic book. I'm working on that. All the stuff that I always want to do, I'm actually getting a chance to do now. So I don't have to be so prolific in just one area anymore. I've established myself. Now I'm just diversifying,
And we're going to be coming up on a break in about 2 minutes. But before we do that, I would like for you to go back to the Gandhi Garden. And something happened recently.
Oh, yeah.
With the Gandhi Garden that I'd like for you to share with the listening and viewing audience.
We were setting up for our June show, and Derek comes in the gallery. He's like, "Well, you ain't gonna believe this. Gandhi's grandson is outside." And I have a friend of mine named Gandhi, so I'm like, okay, well, tell him to come inside. I'm busy. It's like, no, D. Gandhi is D. Gandhi's grandson. Like, he's like hyped up, So I go outside and see this, this older gentleman out there, silver hair. And he turns around, he's like, "Can I help you?" He's like, "Yeah, he told me his name is Arun, and that's his grandfather on the wall." And I'm like, "What? Like, are you serious?" And then next thing, Carl comes up, Kyler, everybody started coming up. It's like, "Yo, this is really Gandhi's grandson," And he told us like, it's what do you say? I forget. Gandhi's second son is his father. Yeah. So it was nuts. He was out there for about an hour, just out there asking us questions, and that this is great. And we were like, "Well, how did you find out?" Because it's not like we reached out to him. And he was doing a talk in Philadelphia, and I believe it was his assistant. I'm not sure if it was his wife or his assistant or whatever. But anyway, she pulled out a pamphlet, and she said, "Well, I got the pamphlet at the train station, and I showed it to him, and he's on his way back to Rochester." She said, "So we figured we'd stop through on our way back up north just to see the garden." Just
here's what we'll do.
Random.
We're up on the break, so we'll finish that story after we come back from the break. Folks, you're listening to In the Public Interest on WIMG. I'm Jacque Howard, your host. You can find us on the internet as well, WIMG1300.com.
Is the IRS knocking on your door for back taxes? Are you being threatened with bank levies or wage garnishments? Let us negotiate with the IRS for you. It's a lot easier. We deal with the IRS every day, so you don't have to. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, or you haven't filed in a while, pick up your cell phone and call now for free information. We have experts standing by right now who know the tax codes and know the secrets to settle your back taxes for less, if you qualify. We'll explain to you how we may be able to settle your taxes for less than what you currently owe. So call today for your free evaluation. Remember our motto: if you can't pay your back taxes, call now, see if you can pay less. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, call Alpha Tax now for free advice on how you can pay less.
800-961-3631, 800-961-3631, 800-961-3631, 800-961-3631.
To In the Public Interest on Trenton Talks. You're listening to WIMG 1300. Also streaming over the internet, WIMG1300.com. And I apologize, you can also see us on WPHY, Channel 25 in Mercer County, New Jersey. I'm your host, Jacque Howard. I'm speaking with two friends from the Sage Coalition, Will Kasso and Carl Washington. Both of these gentlemen are fine artists who reside in Trenton, and they're part of this group, the Sage Coalition, which can be found on the internet, sagecoalitionnj.com, where you can find out all the different projects that they're working on, such as murals. You guys can also be, commissioned to do work, working on community gardens. They also have a capacity to do some mass welding and fabrication. But it's just an all-around great group of men who are there, and your tentacles reach out to lots of different artists in the community, also female. It's a very diverse group of people. So thank you for doing that. Will, earlier you chatted about Gandhi, about the Gandhi Garden and the Gandhi mural that you created. And first I want to talk about that, then I want to go back and talk about the length of murals in public art and how long that it stays up and the culture with that. But for one more time, just like summarize that story with Gandhi.
Oh yeah, well, his grandson came out to visit the garden unannounced. It was so random, So no one believed it. I even remember we called Graham, like, yo, Graham, you gotta come check this out. Gandhi's grandson is here. He's like, come on, man, it's not funny. I'm busy right now. Same thing, like no one believed it. But then we came out, I was like, wow, this is really happening. That's when we realized like the impact of what we were doing, because we're the type of people, we work. We don't really kind of sit back and take it all in. We just on to the next. And that's when we realized like the reach that what we're doing is starting to have, because we didn't promote it to any of Gandhi's people at all. It was just like we put the information out there. It was like putting a message in a bottle and somebody replied, It was literally like that random. But it was cool, man. If anything, it was extra boosted motivation, just to keep going with it when you realize the people that you're affecting. Just the people who even just come and just, saying they want to start their own garden from seeing what we're doing. Like, that's the point. Like, yes, you can do it yourself, And because that's the one thing, everybody think that garden is made to feed everyone. No, it's made, we have enough food, we grow a very small amount of food there. But the thing is, we'll come and we'll show you how to do it, like you can do it yourself. It's not hard, just take some work, that's all.
And people can go to the Sage Coalition website. Yep. You can Google search Sage Coalition NJ and find information about it. You guys have been covered in the media a lot in the last 4 years or so. US 1, Trenton Times, Trentonian,
Bucks Life magazine.
Also Princeton Area Community Foundation, their newsletter, Crisis Ministry. So you guys are all over the place doing all these different projects, and it's not just about painting murals. It's a little bit more than that.
It's very diverse now. It's a little bit more complex. Murals is what kicked it off. Murals it's the first thing that you put a mural up. You're going to relate to most people. And you get their attention immediately, and then that's when you pull them into the other projects. With the garden, it's a collaboration, literally, of everyone. Graham designed the garden, Derek maintains it, Wills did the entrance, like the bike sculpture entrance of the bike wheels. I did the mural that bookends it, and everybody has a piece involved in it. And that's the beautiful part of it. Is literally a group effort to keep it going.
And Carl, you're always there documenting whether video or photograph. And I photographed you photographing other people at the event. So there's plenty of documentation of all the events that Sage does, correct?
Yeah, definitely. And we try to keep it online and update it so that people will know what's going on. Because it's lucky to have the internet, because it's pretty much easy to just get it out there. And once it get out there and people starts to follow, then it becomes like crazy. You know, you never know who might pop in. So try to keep the place looking good.
Yeah.
You know, and stay busy. And
You really try to keep each other motivated, because the one thing too is like we've been blessed to be able to do what we love to do, but at the same time it could be difficult maintaining that momentum, especially when you're working for yourself. So we all know when one of us is going through something, and we all keep the morale up. We have a lot of fun. We sit around, we joke around, but we work hard as well. So when a lot of people come down to 219, they think, especially like when we're having a show, they think it's always like that. Like, you guys are always partying. Like, no, nah. Like most of the time, you're up late because you're working on a project that you need to get finished because you got a deadline. Then you got to do like this regular life stuff. It's a lot of work, So, especially like leading up to the shows, like you don't have a life for a few weeks. You just have to dedicate to getting these projects done, and we work hard, we play hard. So,
well, I want to cover a couple of things before we finish up the interview. There's a culture with art and murals and public art.
Yeah.
Can you just talk a little bit about that?
As far as like what do you
like when you see a mural that's up and then someone tags over it, because I'm sure the listening and viewing audience doesn't fully understand the intricacies about the culture of graffiti art and urban art.
They give people like a little history lesson. Like graffiti started in Philadelphia. New York magnified it, with when the subway movement and all that, and then when the whole subway movement ended in the late 80s, it moved more so into the streets, and that's when you get a lot of street bombing or whatever. And then from that came production crews. Like the elaborate murals you used to see on the side of subways were eventually moved to walls. And by this time it was like a global thing. We're talking about like late 80s, early 90s when Europe started getting a hold to it. And Europe just up the fine art level. Now it's pretty much a global thing. You can't go anywhere on this globe, maybe with the exception of Antarctica, and not find some type of graffiti somewhere. I'm talking about modern graffiti, And so just in knowing that, when I got into the scene, graffiti was like one of my first influences. So when I got into it, it's something I always knew what I wanted to do, but I just never knew how to go about doing it. When I finally linked up with cats that were doing it, got into the scene, I was doing the same thing, but I was never as prolific at the illegal bombing as a lot of people think. I did some stuff, but my goal was always more to get into the mural aspect of it, which I did. Formed a crew, and from that grew my first series of public works, major public works. We're talking about from like maybe 2005 to 2008, as far as like when I was really involved. And then from 2008 on to now is when I really started focusing my talents on community rebuilding, taking what I learned from graffiti and applying it to better my community instead of destroying it. Yeah.
That's great. And that leads up to a couple of events that are coming up and projects that you're working on. You guys want to elaborate on those?
Yeah, we got Jersey Fresh coming up, Jersey Fresh Jam. We've been doing Jersey Fresh since the summer 2005. So this jam, it started off with 10 graffiti writers in the case of beer. Fast forward to now, we have over 50 artists come out, approximately 15 music acts performing, vendors, the whole nine. It's a festival, And the night before, that Friday the 9th, we're doing the art show Vicious Styles Crew, which is the founding graffiti crew, which I'm one of the original members of, that started Jersey Fresh. So we're focusing on that core group for our August art show at 219. And then we have Storm the Gates in September. A solo show by Ricardo Barros, who's a photographer with the Grounds of Sculpture, in October at 219. November we're doing the Art of Wu, which is a Wu-Tang Clan inspired art show. In December we close it out with Lank. So
okay, and as far as Jersey Fresh Jam, where is that? What's the date again?
TerraCycle, August 10th from, I believe it's from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. It's at 121 New York Avenue at TerraCycle Inc. Yeah, so we've been doing it at TerraCycle since day one. And shout out to Tom Zysky, the CEO. He's good people. He's always supported what we've been doing, and so far so good. Yeah.
And do you have any solo projects that you're working on, or duo projects that you're working on?
Yeah, actually, I'm working on 2 things, and both of them are going to take place next year because they're that involved. One show I'm working on is called Invasion. It's going to be kind of, think of like Parliament Funkadelic meets Pink Floyd meets Wu-Tang Clan meets street art meets. It's going to be a very eclectic show, and I'm not doing it till next spring. So everything I'm doing now literally is like leading up to that show, and I'm looking to open it up in New York. So, and me and Carl are working on a project where he's going to do a photo series of Hanover Street, you know, because the one thing that gets to me is that, you know, we're doing a lot of good work there, you know, and we do our best to get people involved, but the one thing that gets overshadowed is the people that live there, their stories. Like, you know, they were here long before we were. Even if they're, you know, if they're out there smoking crack, whatever, we all know what happens over there, but no one really gets the time to talk to these people. And we've been doing that. We know a little bit of everybody over there, whether they're kind of spaced out or just regular folk. So Carl's going to do like a photo series of that, and I'm going to do a painting series based off his photos. Yeah.
And the art and community that you guys are building over at 219 and at the Gandhi Garden, you're actually redeveloping the community.
Yeah.
Because now it's become a destination for people who want to come and see what public art can look like.
Oh, yeah.
And community gardens.
Yeah.
For the folks who are listening and viewing, I mean, Gandhi's grandson specifically came to Trenton to see what was going on at the Gandhi Garden.
Yeah.
Now that's a pretty big deal. I mean, no matter how you look at it, what your religious beliefs are. I mean, if Gandhi's family is interested in something that's taking place in your local community, it's a big deal. So one more time, folks, SageCoalitionNJ.com is where you can find out all the information about the different projects that Will and Carl are working on. But in addition to that, you can also find out more about what Sage is. You guys are a 501c3.
Yes.
And so you guys can take donations, and you're looking for volunteers as always, right?
Yeah, we're always looking for volunteers. Right now we're linked up with the Bonner Center at TCNJ, so most of our volunteers comes out of their network, you know. And but we're always open. You know, we get people that come down all the time, you know, wanting to help out. And, you know, I'm pretty busy, so I'm very slow about getting back to some of my emails. But even if you email us at sagecoalitionnj@gmail.com, someone will get back to you and let you know when things are going on. Because all of us are pretty spread out these days, so it's very difficult to, you know, get back to everyone in a timely fashion. But, you know, we do our best, and it's something always going on. Just reach out to us.
Sure. We got just about 2 minutes left, and in 30 seconds, can you talk about the TDA connection?
Oh, Trenton Downtown Association. Well, Trenton Downtown Association sponsored Windows of Soul, and they're the ones we have a monthly budget from them to run the gallery. You know, it's their space. We're in essence promoting their space, but they've been a huge supporter of what we're doing. You know, Christian Martin. You know, I have to give it up to him. Like, he's doing an amazing job. You know, we pretty much, you know, anything that we need, you know, they have. You know, if they can provide it, they will, or give us the resources to find it other places. Like, they've really been helping us since we're still very young, especially as far as the nonprofit world. There's still a lot we don't know, and we all know the TDA has been around for a very long time. So if anything, we're learning a lot. You know, same thing with other organizations that we partner with. You know, we're in partner with them. We're learning how to do it ourselves. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we've got less than a minute left. So I know before we got on the show, we were talking about Deion Clark.
Yeah.
And you think this is a fair time for you to make a bit of an announcement?
Yeah, he deserves a mural. He deserves a mural. Now, honestly, I've never met Deion. You know, I've heard about him, but I never had the honor to meet him. And when I heard about it, you know, it was a shock to me. Like most people, it's like, wow, you know, this guy was doing something. And you know, in his passing, I'm quite sure a lot of people know who he is now and the type of work that he was doing. And I think that's something that need to be highlighted. You know, especially if you're going to put a mural up in Trenton of someone, it should be of someone of that caliber.
I think you said it perfectly, folks. Get in touch with me, Jacque Howard. You can find me on Facebook, Sage Coalition's on Facebook. Also listen to the Trenton 365 show on Mondays from 8 to 9, and you can find out what's going on. And indeed, I believe Sage Coalition and myself will work on trying to. Now, we will get a mural for Deion.
Yeah, I think it's due.
Excellent. Folks, you've been listening to In the Public Interest on WIMG 1300, also on the internet, WIMG1300.com, Facebook and Twitter, WIMG 1300, and on television, WPHY, Channel 25 in Mercer County. Have a great night.
And we're out.
Have you played Front Flip? Visit McDonald's for details. McDonald's, I'm loving it.
Head into the Home Depot for big savings on simple updates, like this small project. Find new space in a cluttered room with some heavy-duty 4-tier shelving. A $29 value now at a special buy of just $19.88. Save big and get more space to work and play. One of many ways to make a big difference for less during the Small Projects Big Values event going on now. More saving, more doing. That's the power of the Home Depot. U.S. only. See store for details.
Shop the O'Reilly Auto Parts Super Saver Sale and find Berryman Total Fuel System Cleaner on sale for $4.99. Clean clogged injectors with Berryman Total Fuel System Cleaner, $4.99 during the Super Saver Sale at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day. Limit supply. See store for details.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
Are you an inventor? Or do you know an inventor who would like to attempt to have an invention or idea patented and submitted to industry? InventHelp, America's #1 invention company, has inventors' information you can have free. Record your invention's date of origination, plus get an informative brochure and other material of interest to new inventors from the company whose patent referral services have helped secure more than 7,000 patents. Call now, 800-619-2181. That's 800-619-2181. Even if you only have an idea for improving an existing product and don't know where to go with it, you'll want this free inventor's information. It shows how InventHelp may assist you in trying to patent your invention and submit it to industry. It's a free call, so call now. 800-619-2181. 800-619-2181. That's 800-619-2181.
Are your cable rates rising? Tired of being pushed around by your provider? It's time to push back. Cut the cable and get Dish installed with absolutely no equipment to buy. Here's the best part. Packages start at just $19.99 a month for an entire year. That's right. Call now and get Dish installed free. Plus HBO, Cinemax, Showtime, and Starz free for 3 months. If you call in right now, Dish will also throw in free HD for life. PMG Dish, a Dish authorized retailer, is waiting for your call and can have you watching TV as soon as tomorrow. Call 800-860-0436. Imagine all your favorite movies, sports, and shows in crystal clear digital quality for far less money, and you won't have to deal with the cable company anymore. At only $19.99 per month, they're practically giving it away. Call now for full details. Call 800-860-0436. That's 800-860-0436. Again, 800-860-0436. Limited time offer for prices, packages, and programming subject to change without notice. 24-month agreement required. Cancellation fees, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. Call for details.
I'm Leon Rainbow.
And I'm Will Kasso.
And we paint Trenton. And you're listening to WIMG.
And welcome back, friends, to WIMG 1300. The name of the show is In the Public Interest. I'm Jacque Howard, your host. You can find us on Facebook and Twitter, WIMG 1300. And streaming over the internet, WIMG1300.com. On television, WPHY, Channel 25 in Mercer County, New Jersey. I am still with Carl Washington and Will Kasso-Condry, two artists from the Trenton area, Trenton region, I like to say, who are part of the SAGE Coalition. The website is SAGE, S-A-G-E, coalitionnj.com. There you can find information about previous events. You can find information about volunteering, making some sort of a donation. You can learn about the community garden that is called the Gandhi Garden, which Will's going to talk a little bit more about his experience and Carl's experience with with meeting the grandson of Gandhi, who came to Trenton to see this garden specifically. In addition to that, there's the community garden has a community outreach component. They've got different artists involved, not only from digital but also craftsmen like Wills Kinsley, who does fabrication of metal and wood. And then you also have a very strong music component with Collar Biz, Black Collar Biz, and DJ Ahmad. It's just Ahmad. So welcome again back, gentlemen. So Carl, let's talk a little bit about your digital media, your expertise, and your craft.
Well, I've been in digital media for about 5 years now. I started with Mercer County Community College, and I've always been like a writer and a musician. I like to rap and songwrite, so I thought, why not go and do something different, you know, which was fine arts. And so I took the digital media route, but I learned fine art like basic drawing and life drawing, which like honed my skills in photography and videography. But a little bit more down the line, that's when I knew I found my passion when I picked up a camera. And yeah, I just try to capture like different things. I'm into abstract art, but also into like documenting and, you know, just catching life, you know.
So if you could choose between one of the two, not saying you have to, of course you don't, but what do you feel is pulling you the most currently, still life or actual like movies, like motion pictures?
Well, it's pretty much the same because video is nothing but pictures, but I think photography really captures the moment versus video, which can be, you know, manipulated more, you know. It's just like, it's once you captured it, it's like yours and to hold, you know, that moment, you know, and it can't be rewind, you know, you can't bring it back. So it's just like a documented point in time that, you know, everybody can look at.
So I want to drill down on the word document. What do you have coming up with some projects? Are you working on a film? Maybe you're gonna, I know you are documenting all of the Sage's efforts because I see you documenting them, whether it's video or still life.
Well,
is there any projects in the wings for Carl Washington with the Documenting Sage Coalition?
Yes, we're in the works of that. I have a lot of footage from the year that I've been with Sage. Also, Black Collar Biz, he has a lot of footage. So we are looking at who we're going to get to document it. But I definitely want a part in it, you know, to make sure that it goes right. We just don't want to give this, you know, this is a lot of valuable stuff. And we just don't want to give it out to anybody. And, you know, how the media can be sometimes, you know, put their own little twist on things. But, you know, we just want to be there right with it, so to make sure that everything goes right. Also, I got a solo show coming up next year, June 13th, Friday the 13th, which is my birthday. Okay. And the name of the show will be called Good Luck. So it's going to definitely be interesting, you know, period of time.
All right, so the smile on your face and how you perked up a little bit, I think you've got some interesting things lined up for that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to move over. I'm gonna let that be it. So, Will Kasso, so let's talk a little bit more about your experience with Gandhi's grandson and how that all came about.
Well, like I said earlier, he pretty much just showed up unannounced, you know. And Derek McGee, you know, we said earlier, he's the one who maintains the garden. He's the first one to announce it. He came to me while I was in the gallery. He's like, "Oh, you ain't gonna believe this, you know, Gandhi's grandson's out here." And he was just out there in the garden chilling, just, you know, regular dude. It wasn't, you know, like he came in on a cloud or nothing. It was just, he just chilling, you know. And he was just asking us how did it all start. And, you know, he commended me on the mural. You know, he's like, just thanked us for what we were doing to honor his grandfather's message. So it was pretty intense, man. It was like, wow, it was very surreal you know, just having him there and just looking at him, was like he even looks like the guy, just
it
with
was
more
a
hair.
Spitting image.
Yeah, he just got more hair. You know, it was kind of freaky, man.
It was like the modern version.
Gandhi looked like in 2013.
Yeah.
You know. But it was cool, man. And like I said, it was just, if anything, it was a morale booster. It was like, yeah, we're moving in the right direction. You know.
Yeah, I would say you are. If besides local media attention, if you've got Gandhi's grandson wanting to come by and take a look at it, I think that you do have you guys are moving in the right direction.
Yeah, it definitely it was nothing like put together. It's not like we reached out to do it or anything. We just saw one of our pamphlets and came out and decided to check it out. It's really cool.
So can you guys talk about like some of the partnerships that you have? I know it's extensive. I know I coordinate something with you guys to do mural with the Crisis Ministry.
Which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and you guys did a wonderful job, which is also on Hanover Street.
Yeah, right up the block.
Yeah. But can you guys talk about some of the other organizations and groups that you've partnered with recently? I know it's a laundry list throughout the whole history, but just some of them.
Well, Trenton Downtown Association has been an ongoing partnership with them since day one. So they're like literally right there next to us with most of the projects that we're doing. We work closely with the Boys and Girls Club. I did an after-school program with them this past school year, and Wills currently works with them. It's been ongoing probably for about a year now with the Bike Exchange. And, we work with Artworks, us and Artworks, we always collaborate on different things. And if anything, cross-promoting other projects that we're doing, and what they're doing Art All Night and, Art All Day, we cross-promote with what we're doing. Owls has been a big help with the garden. They gave us a lot of useful information very early in, just as far as like the whole, setting things up and making sure we had the right soil, stuff like that. A lot of useful information. Who else we've been working with?
To me, also traditional partners are volunteers.
Yeah,
they're very important, and we definitely get a lot of them. I mean, they come from all over to help. Everybody just is glad to be a part and to support what we're doing.
So of the volunteer portion, can you just share a little bit about like gardening with Gandhi? About that information, how people can come out for that.
Well. Same thing. Hit up our website, sagecoalitionj.com. There's a section on there literally just for gardening with Gandhi, and also on Facebook / the Gandhi Garden. But the garden is taking on a life of its own. Literally, it's definitely currently our biggest project because unlike Windows of Soul, which is more or less a seasonal thing, this is all year long. It takes, we've been working on this garden since last fall through the winter, spring, and now in the summer. It requires constant maintenance. Graham and Derek are always out there in that garden maintaining it. So volunteer efforts for that are needed. It cuts the workload down just for us because, again, we're at the same time, we volunteer time in there too. Everybody does, and just to make it, keep it up for people to use,
Yeah, there's also been like a tremendous amount of donations. Like people donate artwork. We just got a hammock donated today. Day before yesterday, more flowers were donated. So it's very consistent.
And something else I want the listening and viewing audience to know about, when we say garden, community garden, this is indeed a community garden. There's a lot of beautiful things taking place, not only with the original artwork and the structure and the educational component of it, but there's also lots of flowers, and the edible food that's there is amazing. And talk a little bit about what you guys are doing with that food.
Well, for the shows that we have, every second Friday we do a brand new art show in our gallery. So the food is prepped for the openings. We serve the food at the openings. So, it cuts our costs down too because we're growing it. So we always have an assortment of salads, and 90% of the vegetables in the salads come from our own garden, and we never got a complaint yet.
So folks, right there, I mean, you've got a community garden that was on a city-owned vacant lot that had weeds that were several feet high, and it's now a beautiful outdoor educational garden and food space.
Yeah.
And it's become a tourist attraction. I mean,
Oh,
we've
yeah.
had bike tours go by there.
Yeah.
We've had
city council's been out there.
Senior citizen tours,
groups,
children, colleges.
Yeah. It goes across the board. It's been intense.
Yeah. And the interesting thing about that, guys, is that Hanover Street, where it's located, is just a few blocks, or like really just one city block from City Hall.
Yeah.
And it was not a very good block.
Oh, nah.
Several years ago.
Nah, I mean, to keep it all honest, Hanover Street still has some of its demons. They're just not as prevalent as they used to be, you know. But and the cool thing about it, you know, despite what goes on that block, we don't have a problem. No one comes over there, they feel threatened. Everyone over there respects what we're doing.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm speaking to Will Kasso and Carl Washington, two artists who are part of the Sage Coalition, and they are located on Hanover Street, 219 and 223 Hanover Street, and they've got a community garden, lots of different arts things taking place. They've got an educational component, and they've got a couple of events that are coming up that we'll talk about after the break. You're listening to In the Public Interest on WIMG 1300, also on WIMG1300.com, and if you're watching on television, it's WPHY, Channel 25 in Mercer County.
You have a car or truck you really love? I have one exactly like it. If anything happened to my baby, like a blown engine, a failed transmission, or the AC went out, I don't know what I'd do or how I'd pay for it. Well, I just learned about coverage you can get for those unexpected budget-breaking auto repairs. This coverage is the most affordable, complete car repair coverage, and it's month to month. They can save you thousands of dollars. Monthly auto protection is for car owners just like us. Our cars are 3 to 10 years old and have less than 125,000 miles on them. Monthly auto protection is so confident you'll benefit from your coverage. If you call now, they're offering the 6-month free for a limited time. That's right, the 6-month is free. Call right now for this radio-only, risk-free offer. 800-706-7063, 800-706-7063, 800-706-7063, 800-706-7063.
Friends, and welcome back to In the Public Interest. I'm Jacque Howard, your host. You're listening to WIMG 1300, also on the internet, WIMG1300.com. If you're watching over television, it's WPHY, Channel 25 in Mercer County. And we're also on Facebook and Twitter. You can follow us and like us, WIMG 1300. And to put a plug in for the Trenton 365 show, which I'm the host of on Mondays from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. on WIMG 1300. I'm speaking with Will Kasso and Carl Washington, two artists from the Sage Coalition. And we've been laughing a bit in between the breaks, but we've been talking about art. We've been talking about community organizing and developing, and what art means in that component with community organizing. So, gentlemen, can you, either one of you, take the mic and just talk about the transformation that you've seen on Hanover Street?
Well, yeah, me personally, a year ago, it was, the block was just nothing. There was nothing there. It was just dead. No one walked down it. It was no life. And then when Sage came, you know, it just brought life to the block. It brought character, personality back that I think was missing for a very long time. Like, the people that come around now, it's just like a moth to a flame. It's just like people are just attracted. It's become an attraction, one of the major attractions in the city of Trenton. And it's amazing to see that transformation from start to where it is now, because, you know, it just really touches you, you know, and it shows you and proves that it can be done. Like, things can change where other people have written it off and said that it wasn't possible or it was to be discarded, that, you know, life can bloom again, you know.
It sounds like you got a sermon in there. Maybe you ought to be a pastor, Carl.
I told you I was a writer.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. And Kasso, what are your thoughts about this? Because I know from the beginning, I mean, Sage was one of your visions. You've been a community organizer, whether or not you want to call it that.
Yeah.
But with all, like, you know, your experience in Philadelphia with the mural arts program, and then also with the Vicious Styles crew and so forth.
Oh man, it's so funny because going back, you know, I originally leased the space on Hanover from 06 to 07, you know, and back then it was a different world, you know. I mean, I've never seen like lines of dope fiends waiting to get served because it was that prevalent. Like, you cannot, I mean, it was just so open, you know. It was literally like an open air drug market back then. You know, I remember inside the building, inside 219, one of the guys who was leasing the space in there at the time, he used to let the people come in there to party, you know, sell their drugs, whatever. It was something back then. And I left. After that, I was like, yo, I can't be around this. Like, nah, like, this is not the type of environment that I want to create in. And that, when I left, that's when, you know, before I left, I did the Gandhi mural, you know, because even at that time, I was like, you know what, this area could use a little light. And this is the most I can do right now, you know. And I always had a plan. Like, I remember a friend of mine asked me, was I done painting over there during that time? And I was like, well, for now, because, you know, when I did the first mural, I didn't have permission. I just went out and did it. So I was like, I know I'm not done here. I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know I'm not done here. You know, and little did I know that, you know, all this would happen, you know, 5+ years later. But that's always been my plan as far as when I really start seeing the impact of just the work we were putting up. You know, it's like, wow, people are really gravitating toward this. They're respecting it. They're taking care of it. So what if we just magnify it, you know? And now that we all come from such diverse backgrounds, we get in very diverse groups and people that are coming involved. It's just not one aspect anymore. So I mean, it takes a group effort to pull off something of this magnitude. You know, everyone plays their part and plays their position, and we work very well together. Like, that's the one thing, is like, we gel very well because we're all first and foremost artists. You know, at the end of the day, we're all artists. You know, and we try to do our best just to keep pushing that aspect forward. It's like, we're creative people, but you don't have to be a serious artist, quote unquote, in order to be creative. You know, you just gotta be shown, be taught, you know, and that's, you know, that's our mission, is to show people how to do this. You know?
That's great. Carl, why don't you start with this? I want to ask you, the city's got a lot of negative press, or a lot of naysayers. What would you say to the naysayers who are writing Trenton off, or writing off what the arts community is doing in Trenton?
To me, I just feel they just don't understand, and until you're there in it, then only then can you judge.
Yeah.
And if you've came down and seen what we're all about, spend a day with us. That's all I can say. You know, spend a week with us, you know, if you really want to know what's going on. Then you'll find out. But until then, there's really nothing to say, and the only thing you can do is take our word for it. Like, it's real deep when you know, you could just see change in things. And, you know, the garden in particular, like, I believe is very therapeutic. You know, we nicknamed it the island because it's like when you come there, it's like all your problems are gone. Like, I've seen people like with mental health issues who are homeless in the street, attitudes even change, you know, just from being around, you know. I think stuff like that helps, and we forget about it and just try to push medicine on people instead of, you know, getting a basic understanding of what's really going on. It could be emotion, it could be feeling. There's so many other components, you know. But back to your question, like, it really takes coming down and seeing what's really going on to understand. You just can't all your life believe what a person says and what's passed on to you. You got to be able to get in there and visualize it for yourself, or, you know, be hands-on with it. Yeah.
If you write something, I think I would buy it. That's pretty nice. Yeah. So, Kasso, same question for you. The naysayers and the people who either won't recognize, haven't recognized, and say not to recognize what's going on Hanover Street.
You know what about The naysayers, I love naysayers because they motivate me. I love proving people wrong. I love seeing my team prove people wrong. I mean, in this game, you just have to be used to that. If you're not getting any type of criticism, then you're probably not doing anything right, you know. So I welcome it. If you don't believe what we're doing, then let's, like Carl said, come down and see it. The thing about it, like, we have tangible evidence of what we're doing. We're not just talking about it. We're not just planning. We don't just have a script. No, we're doing it as we're talking about it, you know. It's like these things are happening, and they're happening more frequently these days. And the proof is in the pudding, you know. Just come see it. Just come down and check it out, you know. And why people are the people out there that do criticize us, like, oh, we're artists, we don't know what we're doing, we're unorganized, blah blah blah. I mean, I heard it all, you know. And especially coming from a graffiti background, oh man, I heard a lot. But then again, you know, I've been dealing with issues like this since high school, bruh. So it doesn't faze me at all. I know what I'm doing right, and as long as I know what I'm doing right and I'm helping people, like off the work that, you know, that we do, we've helped people get jobs, you know, like we're providing people with sources of income to better their life. We're not holding anyone's hand, you know. I tell, you know, good friends of mine all the time, like, look, this ain't the after school hangout. Like, we work here, you know. We have a great time, but if you're not adding anything, then you will eventually just find your way out. You know, like, people ask me all the time, how do I get involved in Sage? Just show up, do some work. It's not that formal, you know, because most of what we do is volunteer. You just got to give a damn. You know?
And going forward, future goals for Sage.
Future goals for Sage. Right now, we're working on our 2014 schedule, and my future plans for Sage is for everyone that's involved in Sage to have, you know, stability, because right now we're kind of all over the place, you know. Work towards stability, because the one thing that we're all getting is older, you know, and just planning for the future, you know, like 5 years from now I want to be here, and 5 years now Carl wants to be here. Let's work towards that goal and take baby steps along the way. So that means, you know, doing stuff other places, branching out. You know, like I said, I'm working on some things in New York for next year. You know, Carl's working on a solo show for next year. You know, Kyla's working on some things also in New York. Like, we're realizing our potential, in that, you know, what we established here in Trenton, you know, that's all well and good. But you also have to spread the brand, spread the name, spread the message. And the beautiful part about it is, no matter where we go, you know, the reputation and the influence is always going to come back here, because people are going to want to know where it started. So no matter what happens, Trenton still benefits, you know, even if we're not physically there to be a part of, you know what I'm saying, like, where it's going. We have to stay mobile, you know. So that's when, you know, I look at it as just planting seeds. You know, if I go another place and do a mural, that's one seed planted that could eventually be another chapter of Sage, you know. And just showing people, like, to me, there's sages everywhere. Most of them are just untapped. You just have to go there and show them how to do it, and so on and so forth. And doing that, you know, the prestige of our city will benefit from it, because it started here. So,
well, I'd like to throw this out there as well. Most of the people know that I'm always coming up with some ideas and things. And I don't consider myself an artist, although I like to dabble. But I would like to see Sage go on tour.
That we're talking about that, yeah. It's so funny you mentioned that. We're talking about doing a few things. The first one is, like I said, I'm still putting it together, is revolving around the Wu-Tang Clan. You know, everybody who knows me knows that I'm a big Wu fan. And actually, the way Sage is formed is really based off of Wu's model. And a lot of people don't even know that, you know. So right now we're working on something that we're going to launch in November. It's going to be called The Art of Wu. So it's going to be an art show with all Wu-Tang Clan inspired art. And most of the MCs I deal with over the past few years, you know, we're going to have, I think it's probably like a rough number of 10 to come out and do their own material over Wu beats. So it, again, is, you know, we're working with other groups, other people, and everybody's gaining something from it, you know.
That's right. Yeah. Excellent. I think that's a perfect way to finish up. Yeah. So, folks, if you want to find out more information about the Sage Coalition, Will Kasso Condry and Carl Washington and the whole group, I mean, there's 10, 12 of the men and women who are involved with the organization. If you want to find out more, just look for them on the website, and that is sagecoalitionnj.com. Yeah. You can also find them on Facebook, and you can just do a simple Google search, and I'll take you to some of the press that they've gotten recently about the Gandhi Garden and about some of their other projects. Folks, again, one more time, I just want to say to the listening and viewing audience, kudos to Deion Clark. He went home to be with the Lord just yesterday. Deion was a mentor to me. He was someone who pulled me aside on a couple of occasions and mentioned some things to me that were very heartfelt. And I know that there are a lot of people who already miss him. I know that the community is going to miss him dearly, and that that's going to ask some of the other folks, like the two gentlemen and myself, Will Kasso and Carl Washington and me, to step up and start doing more in the community as well. And Sage Coalition is part of that group and that movement of people who do care. And so, folks, if you want to hear more, just get in contact with Sage Coalition, sagecoalitionnj.com. On Mondays, you can find my show, Trenton 365 show on WIMG 8 to 9. You're listening to In the Public Interest on WIMG 1300, also on WIMG1300.com and WPHY Channel 25 in Mercer County. Good night.
In the Public Interest on Trenton Talks is a program that explores different topics that are of interest to you. In the Public Interest on Trenton Talks can be heard every Tuesday night on 1300 WIMG at 6 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. and seen on WPHY 25.